Welcome to this free immigration help channel. In this video we will talk about request to expedite the processing of your case within the jurisdiction of USCIS. Before we start, I'm gonna mention, as I mention in every video that I make on this channel, this is not a legal advice. I am not an immigration attorney. All the information that I provide on this channel is directly from official government sources. Like for example, in this video, we will be using just uscis.gov, which is the official website for US citizenship and immigration services. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below and I will be able to address them in one of my videos called Answering Your Immigration Questions and Comments. And these videos go by volume. Today there will be a volume 26, which I'm waiting to premiere at 6 p.m. All right, so let's start with our USCIS Expedite Request. I will show you some navigation, how to find an information on it. So as you can see, I have the website, USCIS website pulled up in front of me. We're gonna go to Forms at the very top here of the navigation menu, Forms. And then right here on the side menu, you will see there's a Filing Guidance drop-down menu. So we're gonna click on that. And that will give us a few options, and one of them you already probably can see, Expedite Request here. We're going to click on that, and that will give us the updated page, which was quite recently updated. I believe about a year now, January 22, which is quite recent. So let's talk about it. We're going to discuss who can file for the Expedite Request, what cases, and how to do it actually, how to write that expedited request letter. So let's start with the very first thing I'm gonna mention here is that it really depends on USCIS. At the end of the day, it's at their full discretion whether they will decide to expedite your request or not. And unfortunately, in most of the cases, be prepared that they will deny that request to expedite. They will either completely ignore it or deny it, unfortunately, in most of the cases. No matter how good the reasons might seem to you personally or to whoever recommended you to expedite the case with USCIS, in most of the cases, USCIS unfortunately denies these cases. So let's talk about the what USCIS considers to be a sufficient reason for expedite request. And then we will talk about how to actually make that request. Okay, so there are a few things that based on which you can request USCIS to expedite a request. First one, as you can see, they're bold, black. I'm just going to read that and then we will discuss it a little bit. Severe financial loss to a company or a person, provided that the need for urgent action is not the result of the petitioner's or applicant's failure to timely file the benefit request or timely respond to any request for additional evidence. So if the delay in the processing of immigration case, specifically while it's within USCIS, right, it has not been transferred to another agency or anything like that. If the processing delay has not been caused by the applicant or petitioner themselves, and there is a severe financial problem that is involved, so if it continues to be delayed, there will be a potential for severe financial hardship to a person or a company, and they're giving example here. If there is, for example, a doctor's office and there's an employment authorization document application that is pending and it is for a doctor and the doctor is not able to perform obviously the work because now they don't have the employment authorization that is valid, and obviously now they have to experience all of these delays waiting, and obviously because the doctor cannot perform the work, the company is suffering, right? Financial hardship, example. So keep that in mind. So financial hardship. Another one is the emergency and urgent humanitarian reasons. Honestly, I think this should be number one reason because this is much more important than severe financial loss. Because here we are actually dealing with the actual hardship, not just financial hardship. It's really hard to be in a tough financial situation, but it is much harder to be in a situation where your life is in danger. And this is the situations where we're talking about. Your life is in danger and you cannot wait and you need this process as fast as possible. There's a serious situation here that falls within that basically eligibility. And the reason why I say eligibility in quotes is because whenever it comes to eligibility, you are either eligible or you're not eligible. Here, you are eligible, but it is still at the discretion of USCIS whether they decide to expedite your case or not. Keep that in mind. This is very important because it prevents unnecessary frustration, on our end as applicants, as petitioners. All right, another reason why USCIS might consider your expediting request: non-profit organizations whose request is in furtherance of the cultural or social interests of the United States. Again, this is specifically for non-profit organizations, so it might not be applicable to most of us, most of the people. Again, U.S. government interests, again, most likely not going to be applicable to most of us. Clear USCIS error. All right, and that's a good one, and that's going to be applicable to a lot of people because, unfortunately, errors from USCIS, it's not a rare occasion. It's pretty common. It happens, especially considering that most of foreign immigrants, our names, they're much different than people are used to names here. So mistakes in names is really, really common. So let's say, for example, you have received a document, right? You've been waiting for this document for processing. Let's take again employment authorization document, and you received it with a mistake in a name. And now you're experiencing a problem with the employer, you're experiencing a problem with maybe Social Security Administration, whatever. They say, hey, names do not match. And now you're stuck in this position where you have to file for a replacement, an application for a replacement employment authorization document. And now you're waiting where you shouldn't have been waiting. You're waiting because USCIS made a mistake. In this case, you can also request expedited processing. And I think this would be probably one of the most helpful to most people, applicable in most situations. Now, there's a few other things that USCIS mentions on this page. Situation with adoptions, situation with appeals. Whenever it comes to appeals, it depends on who you're appealing with, and I always mention it in this channel, in the videos. If you did get a denial letter, the course of action is not to just go random online forums and search whatever and come up with these crazy answers, or going through I don't know, some of these answers are insane online. The best thing to do is read the denial letter carefully, because all the time, every denial letter, it gives you the options. What can you do? Can you submit for reopening the case, reconsideration of the case with additional evidence maybe? Or can you appeal it? If so, can you appeal it with USCIS, or do you have to go above USCIS? Or maybe do you actually have to get this case further to the immigration court for further processing? All right, so read the denial letter. It will tell you what options you have in response to that denial letter. Whenever it comes to applications for asylum, if you want to expedite those, you would have to actually address the expedited request. Again, it would be based on all of these criteria mentioned here. Mentioned up above. And it would be going directly to the asylum office where your application is. Right, so wherever you're submitting your application, this is where you will be submitting your expedited request. And of course, there's also benefit requests pending outside the United States, where, if there's a situation where a person is outside of the United States and there is, again, some kind of financial hardship, some kind of humanitarian reason that is involved, they can request the expedited request. Now, let's talk about how to actually make that expedited request. It's actually very simple. USCIS does not provide, and that's one of the things that I wanted to point out here, is that USCIS does not have an official form for expedited requests. There is no sample letter that is directly from USCIS. All the sample letters that you see online, they are all third party, so be very careful with them. It doesn't mean that they're bad. It just means that they're not from the official government source. Now, the USCIS does give a little bit of how your expedited request should look, specifically in the appeal section, and this should be sufficient for any expedited request in any case. It's basically just a cover letter that is marked expedited request. So at the very top of the letter, you're gonna have expedited request. Then you're gonna have you, from who, from you, obviously, petitioner, applicant, your address, your contact information, phone number, email, to who, right? If it's a USCIS Service Center, if it's USCIS Asylum Office, again, their address, date, dear sir or madam, professional, polite letter requesting the expedited processing, basically saying, hey, I am John Doe, my date of birth is this and this, my case number is this and this, I am requesting to expedite my case because, give the reason. And with all of that, obviously you will have to attach, with that cover letter, you will have to attach documentation that shows that what you are requesting in this request to expedite the case processing is the actual, basically corroborating evidence to what you are requesting. Let's say if you're experiencing financial hardship, then you attach the document showing that you are experiencing financial hardship. If there's a humanitarian reason, then you're attaching some kind of evidence showing that there is an emergency or urgent humanitarian reason. So just a cover letter and a document that shows. And if you can provide 2-3 different types of evidence showing that you're experiencing, obviously it will be better to show USCIS that you really are in need of that expedited processing. Again, at the end of the day, if your request is either denied or ignored, don't be frustrated. I know it can be frustrating, but don't be frustrated. Don't stress out about it too much, because again, at the end of the day, USCIS, it's at their discretion. There is really no I'm eligible and I'm eligible. Unfortunately, it's up to USCIS to decide whether they will process your case faster or not. And considering how much backlog and how much delays USCIS is currently experiencing, I wouldn't even be surprised if, even with the expedited processing, it still takes some time to process the application. So I hope this video was helpful. I hope I was able to clear out a few things about the expedited processing from USCIS. Like I said in the beginning, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below, and I will be happy to address them in one of my videos where I go through all of your comments and answer your immigration related question. As always, thank you very much for watching. Always appreciate your time. God bless, and I'll see you in the next video.